All right, let's just dive right into this. I want you to listen to these two phrases. They mean the exact same thing, but one sounds like it was plucked straight out of a really good grammar textbook, while the other, it sounds like it was effortlessly tossed out by a native speaker just reflecting on a situation. That subtle stylistic shift right there, from highly functional to totally flawless, is exactly what we are going to explore today. Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever thought to yourself, give me an exhaustive list of English lesson topics to study if I want advanced fluency, well, you've found it. Whether you're grinding for a Cambridge proficiency exam, stepping up into a high-stakes diplomatic business role, or honestly just chasing total linguistic mastery, consider this your definitive roadmap. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to look at the C1 versus C2 gap, dig into advanced sentence architecture, unpack the verb toolkit, and finally bring it all together with application and mastery. Simple as that. Okay, Section 1, the C1 versus C2 gap. Moving from textbook to nuance. This graphic right here perfectly captures the Cambridge standard. The CEFR guidelines make it super clear. Hitting C2 isn't just about avoiding grammar mistakes anymore. It's way beyond that. You have to be able to take complex info from a bunch of different sources, reconstruct arguments, and write these incredibly smooth, logical essays. It's all about flow and logical structure at this stage. And honestly, the tonal difference is the most fascinating part of this transition. To move up from C1, you literally have to unlearn some of those robotic, mechanical phrases. A C1 speaker is amazing, super independent, but let's be real, they can sometimes sound a bit like a walking dictionary. A C2 speaker, they've got the nuance, they catch the irony, the subtle jokes, the cultural nods, and they adapt to any situation completely effortlessly. Moving on to Section 2, Advanced Sentence Architecture, Tools for Precision and Emphasis. Now, if you've ever asked, give me an exhaustive list of English lesson topics on advanced sentence structure, well, here is your goldmine. But listen, don't look at these as strict rules. They're dynamic tools. You've got compound, complex sentences for those big, multifaceted ideas. You've got the subjunctive for hypotheticals. And ellipsis, that's the absolute art of leaving words out, so your sentences just flow perfectly naturally. So how do these actually create impact? Let's look at a powerhouse structure that Cambridge examiners absolutely love. The big question we need to ask is, what on earth is inversion? Well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You're flipping the normal position of the subject and the auxiliary verb. We usually do this right after a negative adverbial. Why? Because it sounds incredibly dramatic and persuasive. When you drop inversion in a boardroom or an exam, you're basically telling them you aren't just reciting English, you're actively manipulating it for maximum impact. Let's actually hear how that sounds. Take a standard sentence, I have rarely read such an original story. I mean, it's fine, right? But listen to what happens when we pull that negative adverbial, rarely, right up to the front. Rarely have I read such an original story. Wow, it just instantly elevates the whole vibe. Basic structures just can't compete with that level of sophistication. Okay, next we need to talk about cleft sentences. These are absolute game changers because they act like a spotlight. Instead of just saying he loves the fresh air about hiking, you use a what cleft and say what he loves about hiking is the fresh air. Boom, you've just guided your listener's attention exactly where you want it. Adding it in all clefts to your repertoire is going to give you so much structural flexibility. You've also got to get comfortable with reduced relative clauses. This is all about streamlining. Take a clunky sentence like, the man who is speaking is my teacher. Let's trim the fat. Just say, the man speaking is my teacher. At the C2 level, being concisely efficient is just as impressive as building those giant, complex architectures. All right, Section 3, the verb toolkit, the engine of action. Look, you can build a gorgeous sentence, but if your verbs are weak, your message just falls flat. Verbs are the true engine here. So if you need an answer to, give me an exhaustive list of English lesson topics on verbs, you have to follow this exact 3-step hierarchy. 1, swap basic verbs for precise alternatives. 2, master the nuance of modals. And 3, perfect that chaotic relationship between gerunds and infinitives. Let's start with step 1, upgrading your vocabulary. We really have to stop relying on generic verbs that limit clarity. In a professional setting, don't just say or explain a problem, articulate it. Don't just reduce a risk, mitigate it. Instead of adding to a story, embellish it. And if you're in an academic context, don't just look at data, scrutinize it. Swapping in these precise choices is a massive green flag that you know exactly what you're doing. Next up on the list, advanced modals and semimodals. Think of these as the tiny volume dials for your sentences. They let you tweak your exact attitude, your obligation, or your level of certainty. You really have to dig into words like dare and need. I mean, there's a very subtle but very real difference between asking, "Do we dare say anything?" and "Dare we say anything?" Mastering that difference gives you insane control over the nuance of your message. And then, of course, we have the ultimate trap for learners, gerunds versus infinitives. Getting this wrong literally changes reality. Just look at the difference here. He stopped to smoke means he was walking, paused, and lit a cigarette. But he stopped smoking? That means he quit the habit entirely. Mixing these up is a classic stumbling block for sure, but conquering it is a true hallmark of advanced fluency. Which brings us to Section 4, Application and Mastery, bringing it all together. When you actually start checking off these specific topics, you'll transition from memorizing textbook rules to wielding a flexible, near-native toolkit. You'll be dropping mixed conditionals to debate past hypotheticals. You'll use advanced passives to sound totally objective in reports. You'll have the abstract vocabulary for exams and that tentative diplomatic language to navigate tricky boardroom negotiations. This checklist really is your bridge to mastery. At the end of the day, achieving advanced English fluency isn't magic. It's just a structured process of picking up the right tools. You've got the ultimate exhaustive syllabus right in your hands now. So the only question I have left for you is, which of these tools are you going to use today to elevate your English? Will it be inversion, a razor-sharp verb, a clever clef sentence? Pick one, test it out, and just watch your fluency transform.